What's up, hockey fans? Welcome to another edition of Just Winging It as we continue to interview some past and present Kalamazoo Wings players. We have another alumni member for you today, and this guy played on the 2018-19 K-Wings team. He's played in 277 ECHL games, 219 points in that span. Also has played in 27 American Hockey League games, and as I mentioned, in the 2018-19 season, skated in 41 games for the K-Wings. On their way to the playoffs. This is Kyle Thomas. And first of all, Kyle, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
How have you been? What's new?
I've been good. Just had a little girl a little over a month ago. So been busy with that with the wife. But other than that, everything's been going good. It's been a lot of fun.
Now, is this the firstborn for you guys?
Firstborn for us.
I got to ask, what's it like being a dad? Has it sunk in yet? Have you gotten any sleep?
Yeah, it's definitely sunk in, but it's awesome. I mean, it's been a lot of fun, especially the experience here with my wife. Her name's Mila. She's been a treat so far. The sleep, some nights are better than others, but I think we're getting used to it.
I gotta ask you, is it more challenging going through a pro hockey training camp or the first week of being a new father?
I think that one's going to have to depend on who the coach is running the camp, but I think the camp, because at least this is fun being with the daughter all the time.
You played for a couple different teams too. What's the toughest training camp you've ever had to go through?
Ooh, toughest training. I honestly probably my first year pro down in South Carolina, and I actually got released from that camp. I was one of the last cuts out of that one. That was a tough one. I don't know if it was just because it was my first year pro. I wasn't kind of used to what that grind was going to be like, but that one always stuck with my mind.
I want to ask you about your career, and we'll get to Kalamazoo in a little bit. That's obviously a more recent stop. But growing up near Boston, where did you first develop the love for the game of hockey? Where did that come from? Was it a team that you rooted for, an idol, a player? I know hockey's huge out there, so it's probably in your blood.
Well, both my parents are actually from New York. I don't think my dad's even ever skated. I think my mom had some figure skates back in the day, but no, just in kindergarten, one of my best friends was obsessed with hockey, and he would always talk to me about it. So I would just go home, and I think I nagged my parents for close to a year, just telling them that I wanted to play. And they eventually kind of broke down, and now they laugh about it because they say that they thought I would just get cold and wet and want to go back home. And I got out there and I pushed the crate away and just kind of never wanted to get off the ice again.
That's a great story. I mean, I think a lot of parents probably go through that. They're like, we'll give them a shot. We'll let them play the game. And they probably will get sick of it or hate it. And next thing you know, they fall in love with the game. My earliest hockey memory is pushing a chair around the ice, learning how to skate, 4 or 5 years old. Do you go back that far? Do you have a hockey memory that stands out as one of the earliest?
Yeah, that first time on the ice, like you said, like the chair, mine was a crate, but I got out there and they gave me the crate and I just pushed it away and skated away by myself. And they were like, oh, I guess he likes it. And then ever since then, they were just, my biggest fans, and now they love the game too. So it's kind of nice that everyone got involved.
You mentioned that first pro hockey camp where you got cut, and then, from there, I think the rest is history. I mean, looking at your career and how it's progressed, it speaks for itself and what you've been able to accomplish. Going back though, when it came time to pick a college, you went to Norwich University, a D3 school, well known at the D3 level. A lot of history there at that school. Was that kind of you flying under the radar and you hadn't come into your own yet as a player, or was that a decision you made to be kind of close to home? How did that all play out?
I grew late. I had a late growth spurt going into my senior year of high school. So, I mean, I always had like talent and was skilled at hockey and stuff, but I kind of lacked that size and the strength. So I think that was a big deal for me going into my senior year, and then had a good senior year of high school. And then I took a year off and played juniors. And that year, I know I had a nutritionist, was working out a lot, put on some weight. So by the time I got to Norwich, I was kind of a different player than even when I had committed. And I was just able to just control things out there a lot better, slow the game down, and kind of use my strength to my advantage a lot.
And then when you started pro, you played 6 games in Reading, half a season actually in the SPHL early on, which again, then you just took off. Was there a moment that it clicked where you said, I can really make it? I mean, you eventually made it all the way up to the AHL and played significant time.
Yeah. I had, coming out of college, I had back-to-back knee surgeries. I had 3 knee surgeries in like 2 years. So that kind of slowed me up coming out for my first year pro. And then, like I said, just kind of the adjustment to the pro game, because it is very different. And I think playing those 6 games in Reading, I put up no points. I was in and out of the lineup. And just those 6 games I did get in, it kind of showed me what it's like and how different the game is and kind of what I need to work on that summer. So, I went home that summer, worked on what I thought I needed to work on, went and, like you said, played a few games down in the SP there, and then got called up to Fort Wayne and played there for a bit, and then ended up getting sent back before the ECHL playoffs to go to the SP again. Played there, and then the next year re-signed in Fort Wayne, and that's kind of when I came in my own and kind of started getting more comfortable with my game at that kind of level.
Yeah, a couple of huge years for you in Fort Wayne, and you're one of the few players that's played in Fort Wayne and in Kalamazoo. And the fans here will tell me stories all the time about the rivalry going way back to the 70s and 80s between the Comets and the K-Wings. You're one of those few players that's experienced it on both sides. Is that rivalry, is it actually a thing for the players? Is that something that ever goes through your mind, or is that more a manufactured just from a fan standpoint?
No, it's definitely in the locker room too, and in the organizations. Obviously, like you said, being on both sides of it, you see it. And I mean, it's something that's talked about early in the year. Like you said, those teams go back a long way. And nowadays, the amount of times we play each other in that division, it's kind of impossible not to even have a rivalry if even what happened in the past hadn't happened. So I think just that, and there's so many people who play in Kalamazoo and Fort Wayne for so long. Like when I was in Kalamazoo, obviously Taylor, Catalyst, there's a lot of guys who've been there for a long time. So they kind of tell like the new guys who come in. Then obviously being in Fort Wayne, there's a lot of guys like Silowski who have been there for a long time. It's just people, they know what it's like when you're going to go into either play at Kalamazoo or when you go to Fort Wayne. It's just that rivalry on the ice, and you get it from the fans off the ice too. So it's just a fun atmosphere to be in no matter which side you're on.
Looking back at your time in Kalamazoo, what stands out? I mean, you were a point per game player here. Again, it was one season. I think you were actually under contract with Utica, if I'm not mistaken. At the time, you played some games with the Comets up in Utica. That year, though, I mean, even getting all the way to the playoffs, what stands out from that experience? What things will you take with you?
I just really enjoyed playing there. The organization was first class all the way through. Playing with the guys was a very close-knit team. I think that's the biggest thing I took away from there, just kind of the family atmosphere that they build around there. And it was a lot of fun to play there, and I really enjoyed my time.
Played for Coach Bootland and Coach Martin. It was actually Joel's first year on the bench. He had played a long, successful career as a goalie for the K-Wings. Playing for those guys, is there anything that you learned from them or anything that they taught you that you'll take with you? I've heard a lot of stories of guys that appreciate, working and playing for those guys as coaches.
Yeah, definitely. Both great guys, and obviously Marty being that close removed from the game, he wasn't retired that long, so that's always nice. And obviously Booter had a great career for himself. So it's always nice when you can play for coaches who have been through the grind and know what it's like, because they know how demanding it is, and you know that they went through it. So they're not asking you to do anything that they wouldn't do. So I think that makes it very easy to play for 2 guys like that.
27 games in the AHL. You've had a few different stints. Started with that trip up to Cleveland when you were with Fort Wayne. Also played in San Diego and Utica. What was your favorite part of those experiences? And then, how big of a jump is it from the ECHL to the AHL from your eyes?
My favorite part was just getting up there and seeing, like you said, like what the next level is like. And as far as that, I think any level you go up now at pro it's always a step up, and you're always trying to learn stuff and just absorb stuff when you're up there from guys who have been there for a long time and see what it takes to kind of stay at that level. I think it's just bigger, faster, stronger. Like I said, you go up from the SP to the coast to the A to the NHL. It just gets faster and faster and more demanding, and it's just a lot of fun to play out there at a pace like that where everyone is that good.
You went back to Worcester last year, the year that the season got canceled for everybody in March due to the pandemic. Being closer to home in Worcester, what was that experience like for you, playing closer to where you grew up?
That was awesome for me. Like you said and mentioned, I went to Norwich. That was about 2.5 hours away. So parents and my wife now could come up a lot, some friends, but then obviously moved away when I was playing pro. So I hadn't been home for a very long time. They would make it to games when they could when I was playing pro, but to be able to have my wife, my parents, all my friends, and everyone be able to come to a game whenever they really wanted, and me still be here with everyone was like a dream come true, to be honest. I was doing what I loved and I got to be around everyone I loved. So it was a great year. It was a lot of fun.
I hear from guys that have played in Worcester, and obviously it's a new franchise, but they had the AHL team there before the Railers came to town. And one thing the Railers have done so well since they came into the league is their community efforts and getting out in the community and donating time. What can you speak to as far as that goes, and being able to be a positive influence on a lot of people in the community?
Yeah, giving back to the community is one of the better things about playing. And minors and obviously NHL, but just seeing the looks on these kids' faces, they look up to you and they look at you like you're a god to them. And every kid who plays hockey now knows what that's like, because we all went through that. We all had people we looked up to, and it's so nice just to be able to, like you said, give back, whether it's going down the community and donating or going out and reading books to kids or just inviting kids to games. It's just a great experience, and it's so nice to be able to give back to a game that's given so much to all of us.
What's next for you now? I know this is kind of a strange year. No hockey for you, at least due to the pandemic probably played a part. But now with the newborn, being a new dad, have you given that any thought? I don't want to put you on the spot, make you uncomfortable, but is it something that you're still mulling over?
Yeah, obviously a lot is up in the air right now, as it is with everybody with this pandemic going on, and obviously being a new father, that changes a lot. But no decision's been made. Me and my wife have obviously talked about it a bit, but we're just going to leave it at that for now.
Have you given any thought to coaching down the road? Again, whether it's soon or later, or is there something else that interests you that you're looking at whenever hockey is over and done with?
Yeah, right now I'm actually looking into being a firefighter and stuff. I took the test for that, so hopefully that will pan out. But as far as coaching, I mean, I like running camps. I like doing stuff like that. I work with my high school team a bit here when I can. But as far as coaching, getting into college or pros, maybe, I don't know, because it's, for me personally, I just think it would be so tough for me to have the same lifestyle but not be a player, to be behind the bench constantly. For me, I think that would be a little hard. I know some people it makes it an easier transition, but for me, I think I don't know.
I got to say, it's got to be hard not being able to have any control. I mean, you can only do so much as a coach, but you can't go out there and play the game. And as a competitor, I'm sure that's a tough adjustment. I'd have to ask Joel Martin about it again next time I talk to him. But going from being a goalie where you have a lot of responsibility to then going on the bench, that's not an easy task, even for a forward like yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, yeah, goalies a lot. But yeah, it's a whole different mindset, and a lot goes in behind the scenes. They're there more than the players are, the coaches. They're in the rink, they're cutting up film, they're going over scouting reports. They're there all the time. And it's a lot to ask of someone.
I want to get the firefighter thing. I've heard of that. A lot of hockey players want to become firefighters or go into firefighting when their careers are over. What was the inspiration there? Where did that come about?
It's something I always kind of thought of. My grandfather was a firefighter in New York a long time ago, so it's something that I've always kind of known. A few of my friends have gotten into it around Waltham now too, and like you said, a lot of hockey players do it. I know the PHPA offers that course up in Toronto that a lot of guys do take, and I think personally, from everything that I've heard from people, it's just the atmosphere reminds people a lot of a locker room. It's like a brotherhood, just the way that people kind of, get along and stuff like that. So I think that's why a lot of people kind of get into that as a profession after.
Hockey's such a close-knit community. I'm sure there are a lot of teammates and players that you've played with that you keep in touch with, coaches, people that influenced you throughout your career. Hockey's also got a lot of ground to make up and a lot of room to grow when it comes to addressing diversity in the sport. And I think this year is a year where it's really come to the forefront. Being a Black player in hockey, how did it influence you in your career? Was there anything that you ever had to experience or had to go through that you've had to overcome, or was it something that, being that hockey is a close-knit community, you felt like it was a close-knit group?
Yeah, I think people's race or cultural backgrounds, that always plays a factor in no matter what it is. And like you said, obviously hockey is very close knit. But yeah, growing up, obviously you go through a lot a lot more than you do now. Things are kind of more talked about now. There's more of an open discussion, what I think is going a long way. And I think it's going to make a lot of kids, like I said, whether it's their racial background or their cultural background, feel more comfortable playing any sport, not just hockey, but just them feeling more comfortable to get out there and play something that necessarily isn't something that comes from their background, but it's something that they love and that it's for everyone. And I think that that's the biggest thing. And I think that's why it's great that it's being talked about a lot more now.
Absolutely. I mean, the NHL's done their Hockey is for Everyone initiative, and obviously that's a step, right? The Hockey Diversity Alliance is something that has taken off this year. Former players like Akeem Alou, Matt Dumba, the Minnesota Wild, a big part of that. Is that something you've ever looked to get involved in? Or obviously, what are your thoughts on their work that they've been doing?
I think the work they're doing is great. I actually had the pleasure of being able to play with both of them. I played with Akeem in Cleveland, and I went to Minnesota's development camps with Dumba. They're both great guys, and I'm not surprised that they are at the forefront of this movement. I think it's great, and yeah, it's something that I would be interested in being involved in at some point. Like I said, us being older players, we obviously went through a lot more when we were younger. Now it's been phased out a lot more, but I think it's great that they're getting in there and they're kind of helping people be aware of what's going on.
I don't have anything else other than, I got to ask you about you mentioned your daughter's name is Mila. What was the inspiration? I love the name.
I don't know. Me and my wife, we've been together for a long time now. And she was always bouncing names off me, even like before we were married. And I would always say, no, no, no. She would say, you say no to everything. And I was like, well, I got to like it. And one day she said Mila, and I loved her right away, and I was like, yeah. So we kind of kept that on the list, and then when we found out it was going to be a girl, we kind of we ran with it, and we both love it. And everyone we've talked to, they say that too, because I mean, there's not many Milas around, so it's nice to have a unique name.
Well, congratulations to you and your wife and the newborn. I'm sure that's exciting and a busy time. And I really appreciate you carving out some time to talk with us. I know the K-Wings was 2 years ago and just a chapter in your career. And we wish you all the best with whatever the next chapter is, whether that's in Worcester or somewhere else, or maybe it's firefighting.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Kyle, thanks a lot. Take care and stay safe.
You too.